It was more than just a battle. It was the soul of World War II set on fire and frozen in time. The Battle of Stalingrad wasn't fought over land, oil, or strategy alone. It was fought for dominance, for pride, and for the survival of a nation teetering on the edge of extinction. What unfolded between August 1942 and February 1943 in the ruined streets of Stalingrad would become one of the bloodiest confrontations in human history. And it didn't just change the course of the war, it changed the world. Nazi Germany, led by Adolf Hitler, had already carved through Europe with lightning speed. By the summer of 1943, Hitler's focus shifted to the Soviet Union, specifically to the oil-rich Caucasus region and the city that bore the name of his greatest rival, Joseph Stalin. Capturing Stalingrad would not only cripple Soviet morale, but also cut their vital supply lines across the Volga River. Hitler didn't just want to win, he wanted to humiliate. He wanted to plant the swastika in the heart of Stalin's pride. But what the Germans met was not a broken nation. It was a defiant one. When the first bombs fell on Stalingrad in late August, the city turned into a hellscape. Entire neighborhoods collapsed into ash and rubble. Civilians were drafted overnight into trench diggers, fire watchers, and guerrilla fighters. The Soviet command, led by the brutal and brilliant General Zhukov, refused to give up even a single block without a fight. What followed was no ordinary battle. It was house to house, room to room, knife to throat combat. German soldiers called it Rattenkrieg, the War of Rats. Snipers hid in shadows for days. Mines were laid under floorboards. Machine gun nests occupied basements and stairwells. The front lines changed by the hour, often separated by a single shattered wall. No one slept. No one retreated. For every soldier lost, more were sent forward. And when winter set in, the Volga froze, but the blood never stopped spilling. Conditions were inhuman. Soldiers on both sides resorted to scavenging corpses for clothing and food. Frostbite claimed as many limbs as bullets did lives. The wounded screamed into the night. Many left to die in icy alleys and broken buildings. Medical supplies were non-existent. Water was a luxury. And yet, the fighting never paused. It was a war of inches, and every inch cost hundreds of lives. The turning point came with Operation Uranus, a massive Soviet counteroffensive launched in November 1942. The Red Army didn't just push back. They encircled the German Sixth Army, led by Field Marshal Friedrich Paulus. Cut off from supplies, freezing, starving, and fighting in a wasteland, over 300,000 Axis soldiers were trapped in what became their frozen tomb. Hitler ordered them to hold. Surrender was not an option. Inside the encirclement, discipline began to crack. Desertion, suicide, and cannibalism took hold. Entire battalions simply vanished in the snow. Soviet loudspeakers taunted the Germans daily with propaganda and offers of surrender. Some listened, most didn't, because they feared what awaited them more than what surrounded them. Outside the city, Stalin's forces unleashed a relentless barrage of artillery and airstrikes. Entire divisions were buried in snow-covered rubble. Tanks turned to twisted steel, and still neither side would relent. The battle became a symbol considered a horrific testament to human endurance and delusion. By February 1943, after months of bitter resistance and unimaginable suffering, Paulus surrendered. Of the 300,000 who were trapped, only 91,000 surrendered. Fewer than 6,000 ever made it back to Germany. The rest died in the snow or disappeared in Soviet camps. The Battle of Stalingrad was not just a Soviet victory, it was a message to the world that fascism could bleed, that empires could fall, that a city, even one turned to rubble, could break the back of a seemingly unstoppable war machine. It was the beginning of Nazi Germany's end. From that moment on, the Red Army would push west, one brutal step at a time, until Berlin itself was smoldering. Subscribe for more deep dives into history's most defining moments.